Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, taking a look at a very intriguing Big Ten matchup as Rutgers heads on the road to play Wisconsin. And I'll start with this. I think both of these teams, not only in the scope of the Big Ten, but in the scope of the national media, are significantly underrated. You take a look at Wisconsin first. There is an alternate reality, and I'm not a woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of guy, but there's an alternate reality where Wisconsin wins that game against Washington State, who you check your notes is a top 15 team in the country. They outgained them. If they didn't turn the ball over 3 times, they probably win that game, is undefeated coming out of this bye week as a top 20 team. And then you look at Rutgers, and I can certainly relate to Rutgers fans as a Wake Forest guy. Like the national media just sees Rutgers football and thinks they stink. Same thing with Wake Forest. This Rutgers team is massively improved this year. It doesn't take you that long. As a Michigan fan, watching them play Rutgers, like this team is much more physical on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They have some legit NFL dudes. You look at a guy like Aaron Lewis. This Rutgers team is really good. A legit 4-1, handled teams like Virginia Tech. They beat a Northwestern team that just beat Minnesota. Like I think a lot of people assumed, oh, Rutgers beat Northwestern. Northwestern's just a really bad team. It's not the case. This Rutgers team is really good. Excited to take a little bit of a deeper dive into this matchup. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. The support you guys have shown the boys for all of these game previews, especially the Big Ten fans. It's been a blast. Y'all know I love talking Big Ten football. Can't thank you guys enough for supporting the boys. So if you do enjoy the content, you want to support the fellas, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, best part about doing this, hearing from you guys, talking picks and predictions with you guys in the comment section. So let me know your picks, predictions, keys to the game there. And without further ado, let's get into this. And I do want to start with this Wisconsin offense going up against the Rutgers defense. That is really good. Like you take a look at the notes I have. This is a Rutgers team that's given up only 15.3 points per game. That's top 20 in the country. Only 4.5 yards per play. That's top 15 in the country. This Rutgers defense is legit. And they're going to rely on their defense. They're going to run the ball on offense and kind of slow the pace down a little bit. And you look at this Wisconsin offense, I'm really excited to see what they can do against this Rutgers defense. I think you saw Wisconsin finally start to put it together a little bit against Purdue, right? When you go back and watch that game, Tanner Mordecai looking a little bit more comfortable, using his legs to pick up some yards, that run game really getting going. We kind of said this heading in. Like this is a massive, massive change on the offensive side of the ball, schematically, right? You're going from Paul Chryst era to running the football and 70% of your plays to spreading you out, throwing the ball around the yard a little bit. That being said, and we said this heading in, Wisconsin wasn't going to just give up on the run. Like Phil Longo had some really good running backs in North Carolina and used them a lot. You're seeing them go back. Now, Ches Malusi, that really, really hurts for. That sucked to see him go down with that injury. He was running the ball extremely well for Wisconsin. But you go and look into the numbers and what's been working for Wisconsin, it's still running the football, right? They're averaging 5.4 yards per carry. That's top 15 in the country. Braylon Allen averaging over 7 yards per carry. And we said this, Phil Longo adding this dynamic passing game to this offense was only going to help Braylon Allen run the football, right? Last year, Braylon Allen, as good as he was, everybody knew Wisconsin was going to run the football. You saw a lot of 8-man boxes with Phil Longo. We're spreading defenses out. We're getting lighter boxes, and we're still going to run the football. And so, yes, are they throwing the ball more? Absolutely. You're seeing the wide receivers, I think, step up and kind of build that chemistry with Tanner Mordecai. Again, a lot of transfers, transfer quarterback, transfer wide receiver, new offensive scheme. You're starting to see them put it together, but you're still seeing them rely on that run game with a really good offensive line. That's kind of been the key to Wisconsin. I think they're still going to be looking to do that coming out of the bye week. Now, I mentioned the wide receivers. I do think they're stepping up in a big way. And we talked all about CJ Williams, Bryson Green coming in. Shamir DK, he's still the guy at Wisconsin. A wide receiver that we thought was extremely underrated last year just because they didn't use him that much. This wide receiver room starting to hit its stride. I think you're going to see the best version of this Wisconsin offense, again, going up against a Rutgers defense that is really stingy. Now, flipping sides, looking at this Rutgers offense, matching up against this Wisconsin defense, you know what Rutgers is going to do. My problem with Rutgers, I feel like it's a little bit one-dimensional. I wish they would I think Gavin Wimsatt's got some talent. And I wish they would use him a little bit more with that arm. Like, that arm is pretty solid. He can rip it when he wants to, but you know what they want to do. They want to run the football They are running the football at 64% of the time. That is number 7 in the country. You know their identity. They're good up front, and they got a running back in Monangai. He's a little bit smaller than Isaiah Pacheco, but he runs angry like Isaiah Pacheco ran for Rutgers. And he's a guy that this is a Rutgers. They stay on schedule. They don't take sacks. One of the crazy stats that I saw, Gavin Wimsatt's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the entire country. They don't take negative plays. They run the ball. They stay on schedule. They sustain drives. And although it's not pretty, that's Greg Schiano football. And it's been working for Rutgers, who are 4-1. And I think they finally have the personnel to do it, meaning they have the guys on the offensive line to sustain drives and run the football and play a physical brand. They're going up against a Wisconsin defense that I think solid up front. And it's not the Wisconsin defense that you saw under Jim Leonard, but we all kind of knew it wasn't going to be, right? When you're opposite of an offense that runs with a little bit more pace, you see more drives and plays per game, you're not going to have that top 10 defense in scoring defense or yards per play. It's just not going to be the case. It's still a solid defense, right? You have a guy like James Thompson who is really stepping up as an edge rusher, and one of our big concerns was who's going to replace Nick Herbig off the edge and all the production he had. You're starting to see your answer. You lose guys like Keanu Benton, but some solid linebacker play. Hunter Wohler in the back end. He's everywhere. Like when you watch Wisconsin, that dude is around the football every single play. Now getting into the pick, and this is where I think it gets interesting because I'm high on both of these teams probably more than the market and the media is. Rutgers coming in. The line's been bouncing around. It's right now sitting at, you got it at 14 points, so 2 touchdowns. I'll tell you how I'm feeling about this game. I think Wisconsin wins this game. That being said, I'm not super confident they cover the spread because this Rutgers team, I think, is much better than people think. And again, they're hard to really lay it on because they're going to run the football. They're going to slow this pace down. I wouldn't be surprised that in Madison, Wisconsin, noon kickoff, you look up at the scoreboard going into halftime and it's 10-7, 7-7 or 10-10. A low scoring, kind of a grindy Big Ten game. Yes, I like Wisconsin to win it because I think they are a little bit more explosive on the offensive side of the ball. They can throw it. They can kind of hit some of those explosive plays versus Rutgers really struggles to find those explosive plays. They're much more of a, we're going to sustain drives. So I'm leaning Wisconsin to win this game. But if you're betting on this game and the point spread, like I really do think Rutgers has a chance to keep it close. And that's not even me knocking Wisconsin. I just think Rutgers is suited to keep it close. That's what they want to do. Give me Rutgers to cover the number, Wisconsin winning this football game. But I'll tell you what, I think both of these teams are teams that you want to take a look at throughout the rest of the season because I think they're both a little bit more underrated than most people think. Really excited for this one. It might not be the most explosive, exciting game you'll see Saturday, but it's going to be a really fun Big Ten battle between two teams that I think are extremely underrated in this conference and in the country. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.